darkness. Hurry up. So slow, the darkness.
It was so fast. I didn't know we had to be out of here right away. Hi, everybody.
Hi.
Thanks for coming on a Sunday afternoon.
Yeah, thanks for being here.
How are you both doing today? How's the con been treating you? Getting to see fans?
It's always fantastic. But yeah, everyone in Northern Virginia is pretty great. Okay.
Yeah, I really like coming here. I like the manners. I get it, and the friendliness and the hospitality is very nice.
Well, we will be doing fan questions a little bit later on, so start thinking now. But I do want to kick things off. I feel like your characters are both such formidable, independent, strong female characters in a show that had a lot of male characters. I'm curious, what was it like for you to get to come into that universe and bring so much badass energy?
You came first.
Yeah, just about one season before you, or
I don't know. I started in 11.
so yeah, one season before you, and I just felt that Rowena was so well written. Bob Behrens, so my friend, had written her the audition slides, and I still remember the last line on the page from the audition slides, which has a rude word in it, but am I allowed to say that in Virginia?
Yeah.
Well, the line was, "Now do you understand why it breaks my heart to see what colossal pussy you've become?" And to me, that was the kind of key to the character, and I had no choice with Rowena but to go on and completely, because I'm more polite than that, I had no choice but to go on and just grab the bull by the horns. And there's something about playing a character like that that's full of rudeness, balls to the wall. But there's something about having to play that emboldens you playing it, and so I realise now, I was just nervous about doing well. I wasn't actually nervous about these four big wallopers I was working with all the time.
You say wallopers?
Four big wallopers. That was the least of my worries. And then because the show had been running for so long, I thought, I'm so lucky to be in the final season of this long-running show. Little did I know there was another 6 years. Well, it was such a well-oiled machine, and people were so comfortable in the crew. There was very low pressure. People weren't trying to prove themselves, so there was a very conducive atmosphere for an actor to go into that has a theatre background but had not done as much filming. So it was just literally the perfect thing, perfect timing, perfect job, perfect company, and Jensen Ackles is actually physically perfect. Jared and all that, so it's all good.
I think the same with Amara. They just created such a well-rounded character. And even though I knew she was, being presented as sort of the big bad of the season, they've written somebody who was so relatable in terms of the hurt that she carried inside. And I think that that's so important to remember that a lot of, I always tell people I don't condone sucking souls and smiting people, but I can understand that she had a very deep wound, and there were basic things that had been neglected, and you can see what happens to people when that's been going on for a while and they act out that way. But everyone was so welcoming. I mean, I wasn't sure what to expect, because sometimes you go into a long-running show and people are just so settled in the way they do things, and they've got their thing down pat, and you just kind of try to fit in. But everyone was so interested in what I had to bring to the table, and so interested in making this character well-rounded and understood, and interested in what she could contribute to the story. And it was just so generous and wonderful.
She was needed. I feel like Amara was much needed at that point.
And the rest was history. But I am curious, because you mentioned your audition sides. For each of you, do you remember what that audition process was like? Was it one of those you audition and you don't hear about it for months and then you're brought on, or was it 3 weeks later you were on set in Vancouver?
It was back in the glory days when you actually got to audition. Nowadays, self-tape into the ether. Who knows? So I had had not had a TV audition in America for 2 years. I had the worst year of my life in 2013, and this was my first TV audition. And I cleared my calendar for the weekend. I watched 16 episodes, which I know is nothing for you guys. I know you're like, that's a daily basis. For me, that was a lot. And I treated it like I was doing Tennessee Williams, where I gave it everything. And I met Robert Owen for pre-read, and I could just see him trying to grab a post-it note. You're Ruth. Sticking a post-it note, and then the next day I was in with producers. And bearing in mind I did not have an American television credit to my name. They then phoned me the next day and said, we want you to come in and read it in American just in case some network executive thinks people won't understand you. And so I went in and I taped it in American. Now do you understand why it breaks my heart? Like, and my agent phoned me that night, day 3. My agent phoned me that night and said, Ruth, they want you to come in again tomorrow. And I was like, okay. And she's like, I'm only kidding, you got the job. And so it was quite quick for me, having waited for years. But it was quite quick at that point.
I remember, I had a pre-read, and then I remember I had to go in for producers, and I had just recently sprained my knee surfing, and I was so distracted by that because I was playing this, she was a pretty sensual, confident woman, and I was like, just don't trip, don't fall over, don't let your knee give out. And maybe that was a good distraction, I don't know. But they were so, it's never great when you go into a room with a bunch of producers, no matter how nice they are, because it's just a lot of pressure. But they were all very welcoming. And I remember feeling like it had gone well, but I actually don't remember how long it was until I heard. I don't think it was that long. It wasn't like weeks or months. And then it was a little mysterious because they were like, well, FYI, you're probably God's sister. We don't know who God is though. They hadn't decided at that point, or at least they weren't telling me that Chuck was God. So that was a little weird.
Yeah, I didn't know who I was playing. I just knew I got the job. They let me know afterwards that I was the mother of the King of Hell, and I told my friends, and they were like, of course. And,
Totally normal thing.
I remember having seen the episodes that I'd seen and thinking, there's quite a lot of redheads. They're going to phone me and ask me to dye my hair. And they did phone me, so I put my bangs back for the audition, thinking she was more medieval kind of thing. And they phoned me specifically to ask, would they mind which cutting bangs? I was like, no, I got them already, we're good. They didn't change my hair color. You kind of wait to find these things out. I remember when you came up to Vancouver though, I remember eating for lunch very early on.
Ruth was like the ambassador of goodness. And she was so kind to me when I came up to shoot. We weren't even working together, but you stopped me out and you made sure like I had the lay of the land, and it was so lovely.
I think at that point at conventions, so the statistic when I got the job, the statistic in SAG was that for every one job for a woman, there were 9 jobs for men at that point in time. And I remember doing a convention, my first couple of conventions, and there'd be 9 men, and I'd be the one woman, or Kim would be, or someone. And so when there was a new female character starting the show, I was like, this is the beginning of woman power in Supernatural, right? And you and me and Kim and Brianna and Sam and Elena, we were all, so now the Supernatural creation ones, there's at least 4, right? Now, rather than just 1. It's better. It was a show that was about guys.
Yeah, there's statistically more guys on the show.
But I think we were part of
But
that.
it's quality, not quantity with the women.
Absolutely.
That is so true. And speaking about conventions, every time I'm at a convention, I think about how cool it is that there are these fandoms that have become families. Like the Supernatural family is the one that very much owns that moniker. But for both of you, what has it been like getting to be part of this fandom and coming to conventions and getting to talk with fans? Because there's such a much more like immediacy in social media now, but at that period it wasn't really as loud as it is now. So you're really starting to
Jensen had just gotten back from a convention, and Jensen was trying to explain it to me. And I was like, what, huh? Please tell me about the fandom and how, like, in these, kind of tribes of people that get together. But I just couldn't comprehend it. And it's so beautiful that this is what you want to do with storytelling. You want to hope that your stories have an impact. And I also started in theater, and the thing I love about theater is the audience is right here. We're all sharing it at the same time. It's a community event. And you kind of get disconnected from that when you're making TV and film, because you've got the people on set with you, but most of the time, like, they're not supposed to be reacting to what you're doing, because they have their jobs. And so for me, it brings the storytelling full circle, because you guys, we don't make stories without you watching them. It's pointless. And so to get to hear what you connect to, and I learned so much. I learned from somebody today something that I should have known about Supernatural, but I didn't. That happens a lot. Star Wars too, because these are vast universes. There's a lot. But I love that. I love getting to learn from you what you connect to. And Supernatural is crazy because there's people who are like, oh yeah, I started watching it when it first aired, and then there's people who are like, oh, my grandma watches it, and now I watch it, and I'm like, oh gosh, yeah, it's been going for that long, but it's incredible.
4 generations. Yeah. I'm from Scotland, and when I graduated from drama college, it was my heart's burning desire to be part of the Scottish theatre community, because that's what made me think I could be an actor. I went to see little plays in the Travers and saw 2 actors talking to each other on the stage, and that seemed like something I could maybe one day do. Like, go to Hollywood or be in a movie, that was like too crazy for a girl from a farm in Scotland. So coming from that place and eventually becoming someone in the Scottish theatre scene who worked and had a community. And that's really what I think why I'm doing this at all, because I was a dancer when I was young, and I danced the Scottish ballet, and I love being in the company. I just love that feeling. I'm an older child, I don't know, something like that. I love being in the community, I love being in the Scottish theatre community. So to land my first TV job in America, where I have this ginormous community, we're this big dysfunctional family, we do all these shows together, and we've known each other for so long now. I met my partner, I have a baby now because of the show. And then to be in Japan and somebody says, Marina, or Mexico, and there's one, somebody's like, and so to be part of this bigger community is like, I'm sort of spoiled now. Like, I'm kind of spoiled for, it's not going to be anything else like this. Unless I get Star Wars, there's going to be nothing like this.
Come on over.
I'd love to.
We are
Send them a letter.
Yeah. You fit in great in the Forge with me. But it is, there's so many talented actors who do incredible work, but to get to be on a show that has such a supportive fandom, that's like, not everybody gets that. So.
Other like, I'd say famous actors that we're friends with are just still like, what? You're going where? And how many people do you meet? And they're just like, they're kind of amazed.
It's always so funny when I see like an A-list actor start doing cons, so like you got loved. You see how fun it is to get that feedback.
So I did a little film with Simon Pegg a few years ago, and he's always done it because he's in Star Trek and Star Wars and everything. And I just saw him there, and he's finished Mission Impossible. He's in that as well. That's a small franchise. And then he just finished that film, I think it's the last one. And I said, what are you up to now? And he's like, I'm going to do these for a while because I really like them. He says he feels like he gets a lot from it and then he can give back, and it's just this reciprocal thing that happens. And I was like, I just love to hear that, and that sums it up for me. I get something out of it and hopefully give something too.
So getting back to the theatrical roots of immediate feedback, I am curious, talking about, obviously people here who are fans of you, but what is the thing that you get nerdy about when you're at these conventions? Is there something that you've come across where like, oh my god, I love that when I was like 12 and now I'm seeing like, the actors behind it? What is the thing that gets you nerdy?
When I met the voice of Jem, from Jem and the Holograms, that was and I love to sing. So those were the ones for me. But who do I? So yeah, when I've met them at conventions, and occasionally I will like. It's crazy to me sometimes when I get to a show and I don't always know who's there. I haven't always looked at the list. And I'll be walking around the floor and I'm like, wait, like I did. I guess it was LA Comic Con a few years ago, and I was there on Friday and there was nobody next to me, and then I get there Saturday and Angelica Houston is at the table next to me doing her first convention. And she was like, what should I expect from this? And I was like, you're Angelica Houston! It's incredible, but I do think more and more people want to do them because it's just so isolated. Like you have your community on set, and that's beautiful. I've been part of so many wonderful set families, but to recognize like that the work reaches so much deeper, and that we are all a community together. Those of us who create it, and those of you who watch it, and then create things that are inspired by it. It's just so life-giving.
I was at a Comic-Con, I can't remember where. It was in Britain. I have a baby. I'm in the I Don't Care Club, like, who knows, I don't remember anything anymore. But I was in Britain, maybe it was Liverpool, and yeah, and it was Helena Bonham Carter's first convention. And she's the same size as me. I'm like, I've loved her since I was a teenager. And my handler, they didn't get it, right? They didn't get the memo that I was psychically sending them, which was, I was trying to walk more slowly because she was right behind me and we were going to end up in the same elevator together, and I was going to give her some helpful advice, right? That was my idea. And my handler was like, okay, Rose, come to this one. And I was like, no, and then I was like, oh. I'm in the elevator, it's not got Helena Bonham Carter. So that was my closest. But just, it's still thrilling. And yeah, a big one for me was Flash Gordon. And he's not a strong female character, but I just love Flash Gordon. And I wanted to wear an orange bikini when I was younger, I don't know, and be Flash Gordon, but that was a big one for a girl from a farm in Scotland. And he's lovely, by the way. He is, isn't he, Sam? He's the kindest person.
I do have stories like that. Are you ready for some fan questions now? Okay, we are going to do a raise of hands. If you have a question, raise your hand. I know somebody has a question. Come on. Yeah, there we go.